January on the work of this working group. The original request of us was to provide a package of amendments to the Director General, and we've had a discussion, as you will recall, previously, and had advice from the legal officer that we can continue our work beyond January, and in fact we have committed to doing that with meetings scheduled in February and April. And what we would propose to do is, as a Bureau or as co-chairs, we will write to the Director General in January to summarise or to outline the work we have done so far, the progress we have made, and what our intention is over coming months to conclude our work in time to provide a full package of amendments for consideration at the World Health Assembly next year. And from a legal perspective, the package of amendments is the one that has already been circulated, which was the full compilation of all the proposals that we have been working our way through and are still working our way through. And over the last 2 days, we've made excellent progress in continuing to refine those proposals and make progress towards the overall package of amendments. So we will write to the Director General in January, and of course you will receive a copy of the letter that we send, just outlining the progress we have made and our commitment to, our collective commitment to continuing the process and delivering that full package of amendments for consideration in May 2024. I think we would also want in that letter to just reiterate the way we're going about our work, that we're informed by the lessons from COVID-19, but we are also wanting to ensure the IHR are future-proofed, that we are working closely alongside the INB process and with the INB Bureau, and also just reiterate our collective understanding that this process is member state driven, well supported by the Secretariat, but that it is a member state process, and we're very clear about that and are driving that process. And also to reaffirm our clear commitment to the need for the amended IHR to address equity at its heart, and that's a really key purpose, and it was part of our original mandate. So we will make sure we reiterate, with your support, we will reiterate our deep commitment to ensuring that the amendments do address that equity issue. So I just wanted to update you on what that proposed approach is, to update the Director General in January, and just to confirm also that we're not required to report to the Executive Board. That wasn't requested in the resolution. However, we have been requested by the Executive Board to just provide them with an update, and Dr. Asuri and myself will be part of an informal lunchtime session during the Executive Board, and we will update them, the Executive Board, on the work and the progress with it during their meeting in January. So with that, I hope that approach is acceptable to everyone, and I feel pleased to be able to report to the Director General in January that we are making good progress, and that's been very evident these last 2 days. So with that, I suggest we now take up the report of the meeting. This was circulated to Member States earlier this morning. In accordance with our method of work, it is typical that we prepare a procedural report at the end of each working group meeting. We have done a number of these now, and we've got quicker at doing it each time. So saying, this report, which includes quite a lot of language we have used in previous reports, but does have some specific paragraphs which for your consideration. What I'm going to do is work through the report paragraph by paragraph. I'm not going to read out each paragraph, especially early on, but as we get to the really important paragraphs, I'll just explain what we're trying to capture and make sure that you are supportive of the way we have captured that and that the text is nice and clear. So let's work our way through the report. Paragraph 1 is a very simple one that we use at the start of every one of these reports, and I trust that the language is acceptable. And please, as I go through these paragraphs, if you do have comments or suggestions, do raise your flag so it's very visible. It's okay. The second paragraph is again, just as we usually do, summarising the approach we took to webcasting and participation of relevant stakeholders who are here with us again for this session. Okay, I'd just like to take an intervention from Monaco. This is online, so it may well relate to my previous comments about our report to the DG, but Monaco, please go ahead.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I apologize. I raised my hand for the previous item. Perhaps I misunderstood. You plan to transmit to the Director General the compilation that we already received this summer. Is this correct? Have I understood correctly?
Thank you, Monaco. So just to confirm, it's not our intention to transmit to the Director General where we are at with our discussions, because it's not yet a complete package. But from a legal perspective, Steve has advised us previously that actually the original compilation of the full suite of proposals fulfills in a legal sense, fulfills the requirement for the Director General to transmit to countries the proposed amendments, and that's already been circulated, and that's the full suite of proposals that have been the basis of our work. But in a sense, the Director General has already fulfilled that obligation of circulating that suite of proposals, and our January letter is not going to include or append another document, but just to simply update the Director General on our progress towards providing a complete and updated set of amendments for May 2024. Monaco, I hope that answers your question.
Partiellement.
Partially, I do have a doubt, because normally, in accordance with the rules of the IHR, I thought that we should transmit to the Director General the status for the World Health Assembly, even though we know that we'll continue negotiations.
Thank you, Monaco. And this is certainly an issue we've taken advice from the legal counsel on, and we're confident that we've fulfilled the obligations of that requirement in Article 55 already, and that there's no need and at this point I don't think it's wise for us to provide a partially agreed set of amendments, because we've been very clear through this process. It's a full package that we want to provide. So if you'll be happy to accept the legal advice we've received, and we'll act in accordance with that advice. But just again, reiterating, we will circulate to Member States the letter that we do provide to the Director General, so you're able to see that. Thank you. I'll just return then to our committee, our meeting report, and we're up to paragraph 3, which again is a process paragraph. If there are any comments or feedback. If not, we'll move on to paragraph 4. And this paragraph refers to the coordination that we have been undertaking with the INB Bureau. No comments? All right, we'll move on to paragraph 5, please. And just here, we've tried to capture, this was a point that Botswana raised in particular, and that other delegations noted, it's important that even if we're having joint discussions, and we've had at least 2 joint briefings from the Secretariat on the financing landscape, that even as we work closely with and coordinate with the INB, it's important that the output of that coordinated or joint work delivers on the needs and mandates of the 2 processes, which are distinct. So we'll be attuned to that even as we take that work forward. Just checking that wording is acceptable. And if as you look at it, you want to come back to it, that's fine. I can see it's being considered now. So this is the report that we circulated this morning. Paragraph 6 refers to our intention to continue the work on these 2 important issues captured in Articles 53A, 53 bis quarter, 54 and 54 bis, and Article 44, 44A, Annexes 1 and Annex 10, which we had reports back on, that we will continue the work. And this is also reflected in paragraph 7, where we want to really pick up that group of articles, 13, 13A, 44, 44A, Annex 1 and Annex 10, around capacity building and financing, and progress those discussions with a view to bringing back refined consolidated proposals for consideration and discussion at the February meeting. So feedback on paragraphs 6 and 7, please, Bangladesh.
Chair, on paragraph 6, we would like to know whether you have any plan to put a timeline for sharing the text before the 7th meeting, because you will be working. That if you indicate that, that will be very useful for small delegations, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Bangladesh. Our intention would be to make sure we're circulating any new text proposals, first of all, as we develop them. So rather than sending them all out at one time, we will, as we update groups of articles, we will send them out. But we will make sure that, in particular, any new text proposals around these articles are circulated well ahead of our next meeting. So ideally 2 weeks before. So that gives us time to really do some good work, but also make sure there is plenty of opportunity for states parties to consider those proposals ahead of that meeting. So we will aim to get them out 2 weeks before the February meeting. Thank you. So still open for feedback on 5, 6 or 7, but we'll take a look at paragraph 8 as well. And this relates to the discussion we had about how we would progress work on the public health alert fake pandemic continuum, and our discussion and agreement to form a subgroup that the Bureau will convene. We will also, using the model that the INB is using, have co-facilitators as well, and of course that subgroup will be open to all parties to contribute to, open to all drafting group members. And we will coordinate with the INB because they clearly have an interest in this issue about the pandemic definitions and this continuum and how it relates to triggering provisions that may be in the agreed pandemic agreement. Okay, we'll have a look at paragraph 9. This is a procedural one that describes the work we did on these groups of articles. And of course, as we discussed in our drafting group, we, regarding group 4, which was the group of articles that arrived only earlier this week, there will be a 2-week period for where we will invite further feedback, and we will communicate the channel for that feedback after the meeting and provide updated text proposals that we discussed in our drafting groups for consideration. We're just confirming that I think we're still consistent with what's in the report, because during that discussion of Group 4, even though we only got to discuss Article 5, I did talk about I mentioned the Bureau's proposals around Article 8 and 9 and Annex 2, and indeed invited feedback on those. So I think the report's still accurate in that regard. And just that last part of paragraph 9 is just again underscoring that need for us to keep working on all the articles so that we can agree an overall package. That's our commitment. Bangladesh, please.
Chair, just I would like to draw attention on a specific point that still we have to make progress on Articles 13, 13A, 14, 44A, Annex 1, this group of articles. So we would request you to consider that at the beginning in the next round of discussion. I think it is very important that, to ensure that all articles are on equal footing, because your intention is to, and our intention is as well to advance for equity as the prime focus of the entire amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Bangladesh. It's a really good point. We've made good progress over these last 2 days, but we're also very conscious that in many respects we were discussing articles where there was perhaps that were less challenging and less controversial. But so saying, we've continued to develop a really good mode of working. We've gathered momentum, and there is that specific paragraph drawing attention to that group of articles, as you said, and our commitment would be to put those up front on the agenda for our next meeting to make sure we really are going through them in detail and having a good discussion on those articles that are central to delivering on equity. Okay, so that's paragraph 9. If we could go to paragraph 10, please. Japan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Sorry, to go back to paragraph 9, would it be helpful, I think we would find helpful if you could just address the point that the Bureau will communicate to state parties a channel for state parties to provide feedback on articles of Group 4. And circulate proposals. I don't know how the best way to draft it, but I think I will ask the co-chair or any other English natives to best address our point.
So why don't we say here, and circulate proposals on those Group 4 articles for feedback as well. Something like that. That's not very good English, so it must be late in the day. Maybe the USA is coming to my rescue here. But look, very happy to include that. This is what we discussed and agreed, and it's just codifying it here in the report is useful. USA, please.
Thank you, Co-Chair. And this reminds us as well on Para 6, when considering proposals and having sharing text on these particular articles and annexes. Bottom line, so if, for example, if we're sharing on language on 53, 54, or any of these others, what timeline are we looking at to share, and should the proponents just send? Do you have a particular preference, I guess, in terms of getting the texts to you all?
So do you mean in terms of getting text proposals to the Bureau? Yeah.
So it says the drafting group agreed that the Bureau would consider the proposals and share proposed texts with the drafting group. So are you looking to then receive text from different proponents? And if so, what's the process for that?
Our process would be that from here the Bureau will work with those proponents more closely during this intersessional period, and then any outcome of those informal discussions we would put forward as Bureau proposals to the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Let's hope that's clear, and let's move on then to, trust everyone is comfortable with us capturing the point that Japan has made, and if there are some improvements that can be made to the formulation there, which I'll take ownership for, then we will do that before we circulate the final report. But I think the intention is really clear there and well captured, and it's what we agreed. Paragraph 10 essentially replicates language we've used in previous reports, and we've carefully discussed and agreed that language, so we've replicated that here around the range of approaches we will take to progress our work intersessionally. And then paragraph 11, which captures the discussion, the very short discussion we had under agenda item 4. And that's language we've used previously, and obviously paragraph 12 is quite straightforward. So I just want to check that, in particular, if I think, maybe we could just scroll back up to paragraphs 5, 6, 7, make sure that everyone's comfortable that we've captured our intent here. I think we've been really clear in our discussions, and it's important that we capture our intent nice and clearly about how we will progress our work. So invite and final opportunity to provide any feedback here. Bangladesh, please.
Sorry, Chair, for taking floor once again. Just on Japan's inclusion proposal, I would like to know the intention behind that. It will be only views, or other rather textual tweaks will be invited. So if we are sure at this point, I think that will be useful. So what is actually intended for?
With Japan's proposal. So the intention here is to invite feedback on the Group 4 Bureau proposals as amended through our discussions earlier today, which were on Articles 4 and partly on Article 5. However, Japan also noted that they had updated proposals for Article 6 and Annex.
Yes, it's actually Article 8 and Annex 2. So
Article 8.
Our new proposal does not include amendment to Article 6.
Right, yes. So Article 8, which was one of the ones in Group 4. So we would circulate the updated Japanese proposal for Article 8 and Annex 2. And the invitation and what we agreed was that we would all take a look at and respond to that during that 2-week period as well. Is that clear for you? Good, thank you. Brazil, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering if maybe we could, it would be practical that we have a channel for providing feedback on articles enumerated under all 4 groups in discussion here. I remember, for instance, that I believe it was the African group would like to comment on one of the annexes that we discussed in one of those groups, and they didn't have a chance to do it later. So maybe we could just keep this channel open for all these articles, not only for Group 4. It's just an idea. Thank you.
Thank you. In theory, that could be the case, although I'm also conscious that it's a pretty short period of time between now and our next meeting, and I'd like to allow as much time, given there are still a number of articles that we haven't yet had the opportunity to prepare Bureau proposals for. My firm request would be, whilst we'd certainly accept any additional comments, my request would be if we could try and confine those to Group 4, that would be good, because Groups 1 to 3 we did manage to have a good discussion on. We got a good steer from the working group, the drafting group, on where to go with those. So we'll be now working hard. There'll be people taking time off over the Christmas period, and then it's a fairly short period of time if we want to try and get these proposals out at least 2 weeks before our next meeting. So if feedback through that channel could be focused on the Group 4 articles, that will make our work easier. Thank you. Ethiopia, please.
Thank you, Co-Chair. I think it's a very silly addition in Article 6 that just for recognition of that we briefed on 13A with Bangladesh also. Maybe if that can be mentioned.
Is that what you were intending there, Ethiopia?
Sorry. So on Article 7, maybe it's just how I read it. If I mistake, I'm really sorry, but it says broadly to capacity building. So Article 13A can be a capacity building, but we cannot only say it is only capacity building. So maybe if the interpretation has an issue, if you understand.
So is it just related to, so just looking at paragraph 6, you weren't proposing that addition to paragraph 6, but you were proposing, it's 7 that you're speaking to.
Sorry. And 6, that's what it was already with.
Mm-hmm. So you do want that addition in paragraph 6?
Yeah, in 6.
And then
also we have another in Article 7. So I just finished my intervention. So
okay.
If you are okay with Article 6, then Article 7, we have also another suggestions. Yeah.
Please.
Thank you, if you allow me. Thank you. So in Article 7, our point was, so as we read, it says like Article 13, 13A, 44, then it goes to broadly to capacity building and financing. So we really don't feel that we categorize Article 13 and 30A as a capacity building articles in our perspectives. That's how I see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethiopia. I wonder if, so what we are trying to capture here is this group of articles that really address the range of things and broadly relating to capacity building financing and implementation. I wonder if we put and equitable IHR implementation. Then
exactly, that's the point. Thank you.
Okay.
That's how we say from the start. That's the articles which relate with equitable access of the.
Okay, if that formulation is agreeable to others, then we'll include that. Any other comments on the report? Otherwise, I'll assume that there's support for the report as accurately reflecting the outcome of our discussions and what we're planning to do next, which is very important. Last chance. USA, please.
So, back to paragraph 7, if you don't mind. So it would be great to capture equity. Just wondering about that particular formulation and what it means to equitably implement. So I wonder if there's a formulation that emphasizes equity that let's see. Equitably implement.
Okay, so it was, I had suggested equitable IHR implementation. So perhaps Ethiopia, you can help us out here.
Maybe if this can be improved, if we push equitable to be before the capacity building, equitable access, then capacity building financing, it can go. So as we read, like, it looks like the capacity building is...
So the suggestion here then would be to put, just put equitable ahead of capacity building.
Yeah,
so it's,
then then it goes, the capacity, the previous will continue. Yeah. Equitable access.
At the start of that line, please, text editors. So we take, so broadly to equitable capacity building and financing to support capacity building, and then it would just be and IHR implementation. Is that?
So we have suggestions from our very nice colleagues that we can start with equity, broadly to equity, capacity building.
Okay, so, all right, so, yep, got it. So just the text you've highlighted there, text editors, if that could just go back to the original formulation, which is IHR implementation. If you could make that correction. And then where it says equitable, that should just say equity, comma. Okay. Thank you for that. Any other final comments? I see no further comments or objections. So the report is adopted. Thank you very much for your feedback and work on that. And that then concludes agenda item 5. So we move now to our last agenda item, which is the closure of the meeting, the one that brings a smile to everybody's face. I want to start by giving the Secretariat the floor. Dr. Girard, if you have any comments you would like to make.
No substantial comment, only just to maybe on behalf of the team, thanking Member State for the progress done the last today and yesterday on the HR. And of course, the Secretariat will be very keen to continue to support this process. And thanks to you for the leadership.
Thank you, Dr. Girard, and I do want to thank you and your team for your outstanding support, of course through this meeting, but right through the process, and I know that we can count on that as well. And just before I make a couple of closing comments and then give my co-chair, Dr. Asiri, that opportunity, I wanted to thank one person in particular, Carmen Dallaire, Dr. Carmen Dallaire, who's up here. This is her last dance with us. Here in this forum at least. Carmen's finishing up at the WHO, and Carmen, your support for this process has been outstanding. Your professionalism, your knowledge, your commitment, your energy has been wonderful, and we just really want to acknowledge you and thank you deeply for what you have done for this process. And if I could ask people in the room here to join me in thanking, that would be wonderful. So before I make my closing comments, I notice there are a couple of flags up, and I'll go first to Indonesia, followed by Switzerland, please.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. We would like to thank you, the Bureau and the Secretariat, for the excellent stewardship of this short but meaningful meeting. Our delegation believes that the way the Bureau text has been prepared and the rationale provide us with a great way to consider the proposals in a thoughtful and comprehensive manner. We will continue to work internally on the various other proposals and consider those that were discussed over the past 2 days. We would like to assure you that we will actively participate on our comment stating in the articles that we discuss and prepare for the next round discussion in February 2024. We also believe that the approach that you and your co-chair have been taken in leading the meeting these past 2 days have given us the confidence that we will be able to achieve a meaningful outcome by May 2024. Last not but the least, on the way forward, we would like to support your proposals for establishing a new subgroup on the vague pandemic continuum and to work with greater synergy with the INB. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Indonesia. It's very kind. And Switzerland, to you, please.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair. We would also like to thank the Bureau for all your hard work and your excellent leadership in this process. And we would also like to take this opportunity to thank Carmen Dallaire for her great commitment over the last few years and throughout this whole WGIHR process. And in particular, we very much appreciated her expertise on what have often been quite complex issues. It has been a pleasure to work with her and the IHR Secretariat over the last few years, and we wish her all the best for the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, Switzerland, echoing, I think, our feeling as well around the room. So, Ethiopia, please.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair. We also wish to really thank the Bureau and the Secretariat for the very successful conduct of this WGIHR 6 session, and all colleagues for the very constructive engagement. We're really into this as the African group in Egypt to really have meaningful outcomes of the IHR, and we'll continue to work constructively. We also wish to continue to work in mainstream equity in the IHR, and we reiterate our commitment to the Bureau and all other member states as we continue with this process. We also wish to take this opportunity to really thank Dr. Kammer for her really great engagement in this, and wish her all the best in her future endeavors, and wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, Ethiopia. So thank you for those very kind comments and the feedback, and thank you very much for the confidence and trust you have placed in the Bureau. We don't take it for granted, and we can reassure you of our ongoing full commitment to ensuring a successful outcome from this process. And as has been mentioned, we also feel confident, even more confident than we were, that we will be able to complete our work and deliver on our mandate by May 2024. Yes, we still have some challenging and very important issues to discuss and find a way through, but we have made progress, we have developed momentum, and most importantly, there is an excellent spirit of collegiality and solidarity in our work, which has become stronger and stronger over these last 2 days. So it puts us in very good stead for our February and May meetings. I'd like now to give the floor to my very accomplished and excellent co-chair, Dr. Asiri, for some final comments, please.
Oh, thank you very much. I just want to say thank you to all of you. This was a marvelous 2 days. We're supposed to conclude by December 2023, but I think we have achieved a great progress, and we are closer than ever to having a amended, stronger IHR. So thank you to all of you. Special thanks to our distinguished bureau, who have been really critical and important in their contribution to the process. Special thanks to the distinguished Secretariat and the WHO for their exemplary work and support, working in parallel day and night to support both processes that are transforming the health security in the world. Special thanks and gratitude to Carmen for her exemplary work and support to both processes. I have learned personally from her a lot, and thank you very much for that. Please go home safely. Enjoy your holidays, and we hope that in a couple of weeks we'll start seeing the feedbacks on the issues that we have discussed, so we can be prepared for the next meeting and get further progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just before I close the meeting, I also would like to convey my very special thanks to our interpreters and conference services for their preparations and support during the meeting. And of course, our wonderful text editors, without whom we could not really make any progress at all. So, colleagues, we look forward to continuing this important work during the intercessional period. I know I can count on your full support and engagement with that. And in the period leading up to our 7th meeting of the working group on IHR in February, I look forward to seeing you all again in February. And the meeting is now closed. Thank you. Good.
How about a little quick souvenir photo for Carmen with the two of you?
Okay, Carmen. We'll just get a photo with Carmen. So.